Okay, welcome to this session on evidence searching using psychology and behavioral sciences collection on the new EBSCOhost interface. So this particular database, or PBSC as we sometimes call it, is available nationally within the NHS in England. Some of you may not be from or within NHS or even within England, but of course you're welcome on this session. But this is something that you may be looking to subscribe to in the future, or you may already have access to. But we will go through a review shortly of the database itself before we look at the searching on this particular interface. So this is the new EBSCOhost interface that we're looking at. Some of you have already migrated to it, others are awaiting migration. So we won't be looking at the original or current classic interface that some of you are still using. So in terms of the agenda today, what we're going to look at is essentially creating a search using the PICO clinical framework applied to this database, the application of wildcards and truncation to the search, also the option to set up alerts, and also where you can find additional help through the EBSCO support portal. So that's what we're going to cover essentially. So I hope that within the next hour, just under that now, you'll be able to create a search strategy using the PICO framework. You'll also be able to apply wildcards and truncation to search strings that are applicable, of course, to the EBSCOhost interface. So what you've used previously for the classic is also still applicable to the new interface. And also be able to create a search alert to keep current with the literature that's out there based on the original search strategy using PICO. And you'll be able to find further help and support information on EBSCOhost databases, including, of course, this one. So in terms of the coverage of psychology and behavioral sciences collection, just outline that you'll find there are active full-text journals and magazines available currently, and users from subscribing institutions can link to full text from citations within API PsycInfo from hundreds of full text journals available in this database. So in other words, if you subscribe or have a subscription to PBSC and you have API PsycInfo on the same platform, then you will have links that are transferable to APA PsycInfo. So APA PsycInfo being a typical abstract and index only database. So the links are transferable on the EBSCOhost platform. We refer to that as smart linking. So also just to outline some of the key journals that you have access to through this database. So we have Counseling Psychology Review, we have Educational Child Psychology, the International Journal of Mental Health is also indexed. It's active full text with no embargo. So you get access to the latest current content. You have the Journal of Clinical Child and Other Psychology. So again, these are all active full text titles index within PBSC with no embargo. Journal of Mental Health there, as you see, Mental Health, Religion and Culture. So just a sampling of some key titles that are available: Psychology, Health and Medicine, Substance Use and Misuse Therapy Today. So get a sampling, and you can check the content through the interface. There is a publications link which allows you to browse and search through the particular journals that are available, in addition to the standard searching via keyword or subject. So just to outline then the PICO framework, just going to go through that briefly here. And a reminder though, of course, there are multiple frameworks out there that you can use. Andrew Booth et al. At Shire in Sheffield in England identified 38 variants, and we'll be looking at one of them today, the PICOT one with the time element. But you've got PAO there with the patient population exposure, obviously the traditional PICO search. You've got PEACOCK, which includes the context. You've got others like COCOPOP, and then more non-clinical ones like Eclipse and Spider. So there are numerous frameworks that you can be using and have different application depending on the nature of your research, etc. So there are others that you can use, but we use the PEACOCK one, which also has an app available. So there is a PICOT app that is embedded within the interface now. So this has been updated from the original PICO app that was available for the classic interface. So it has obviously the typical fields for the population, which could be problem or patient, the intervention, comparison, of course, if there's a comparative treatment or procedure, and then the outcome. So what do we anticipate as an outcome? It could be quality of life, could be pain control, could be a reduction in depression, for example. And then we've added the time or type of study. So that could be how long would it take to reach the desired outcome? It could be within 6 months, for example. And also what types of studies are needed. So it could be randomized control trials, for example. So give an example here, and we will look at this topic today in more detail. But you have this matter of eating disorders, and then you have a comparison between cognitive behavioral therapy and family-based therapy. So this is an example where you can use the app, you can populate the fields with your keyword search terms, run a search, and it will create a Boolean query based on those terms, so combined with and then you can find relevant results. So this is available now. It's available on the platform. It's something which does need to be enabled. If you want it, it can be disabled, can be hidden from view, but that is carried out in the admin tools. So just a reminder of PICO and the app particularly. We'll have a brief look at that perhaps during the session. But I will focus on the more in-depth search in light of a particular scenario. But before we get on to one, just to outline the syntax that you'll be using for the interface. So this will be applicable to CINAHL Medline on the EBSCOhost platform, which some of you may have seen before, and we are looking at it within the context of this database, of course. So for truncation, we use the asterisk or star, so you can truncate words, you can replace the characters at the end of a word. So for bulimia, for example, you can pick up bulimia and bulimic. You can also add the truncation, the asterisk between terms. So for example, with cognitive asterisk therapy, you would pick up cognitive therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy as well. So you can search multiple terms in that way. For phrase searching, we use quotation marks. So again, anorexia nervosa would find the exact phrase, where that appears somewhere in the record. Depending on the fields that you select, or if it's an unqualified search, it could appear in any of the fields that would be relevant to this database. Then you have the single character wildcard, the question mark. So if you're looking for psychosis and psychoses, you can simply replace the vowel, the I or the E, and find both variations. And then there's also alternate spelling. We use the hash wildcard that can be used to compensate for the difference in UK, US spelling. So for pediatrics, behavior, and so on. Okay, so just a sampling of some of the key truncation wildcards that are available on this platform. And in addition to that, just to complement that, we also have the option of precision searching, so using proximity search operators. And you may be familiar with ADJ or adjacency in other platforms, but for EBSCOhost, we use near and within. So near is broader because it will search for words regardless of the order in which they appear within a specified word range. So for example, if you're looking at eating disorders or disorders of eating, then you can put eating N5 disorders. That means you'll find the word eating near 5 words or less of disorders and disorders near 5 words or less of eating. So it's a broader way of searching. For something which is more restrictive, you've got within. So when you use within or W, it searches for the terms in the order that you enter them. So using the family therapy example, we've got family within 2 words or less of therapy. So it will be strictly in that order. You would not find therapy within 2 words or less of family. For that, you'd have to change it to N2. Now, multiple terms can be used on either side of the operator. So if you're looking at support or care workers, then in parentheses, you have support or care, and then N3 would be within 3 words of less of worker. So it could be support worker or care worker, or it could be a worker in support or care, as it were. Okay, so again, you can reconfigure these according to what makes more sense in the actual search that you're performing. So again, these are available. So N near would be rendered N, W within would be W, of course, and then the specified number. So W0 would be an exact phrase. So any questions or comments on any of these features or functionality? If you've used them before, we'd like to hear from you. So please feel free to post comments, questions, any feedback in the chat. And of course, if you've used the new interface, which we go to shortly. So this is the research question that we're going to be using for PICO today. So in adolescents with eating disorders, how does cognitive behavior therapy compare to family-based therapy in improving eating disorder symptoms? So I've got obviously multiple terms in bold there to highlight the key terms that we want to look for. So obviously we're looking at a particular age group, adolescents with eating disorders. We've got cognitive behavior therapy, which is the intervention essentially, and compared to family-based therapy. And then we're looking at the goal or the outcome of improving eating disorder symptoms. Okay. Question here from Olive, just quickly, do wildcards, etc., work in all fields or just some? So essentially, the wildcards would apply, of course, to keyword free text searching, and they should be applicable to all fields when applicable. Okay. I can also refer you to documentation on the EBSCO support site for more details about that. Okay, so if you're doing an unqualified keyword search and you have all fields selected in the drop-down box, we'll see that in a moment, then it will be applicable to title abstract searching, etc., or word searching and other areas as well. Okay, so we're going to create an appropriate statutory. Now, I haven't got the time element here, so the T element, which is the study type, I've dropped that here in this example. The app itself has the T element, but we're not using that today. But you'll see here we've got the population. We've got obviously adolescents, and they have an underlying condition. They've got eating disorders. So it's adolescents with eating disorders specifically. Then we've got the intervention. So we are looking at cognitive behavioral therapy, which could be cognitive therapy as well, or CBT, the acronym. Comparison, we've got family-based therapy, or FBT. It could be also rendered as family therapy as well. I haven't included that there. And then the outcome, of course, is improvement in eating disorders. And we won't have a search term applied for that because, specifically because it's implied in the population group with that existing condition. So the first line there, obviously the first line is the actual identifying the terms that we're looking for. The second row there is the actual terms, the synonyms that we could be using as free text terms, whether we're doing unqualified search or whether we're going to be searching in the title abstract fields. And then the third line in uppercase there are the actual headings. So again, these are the subject headings, the index terms within this database. So you'll have eating disorders, for example, anorexia nervosa, binge eating, cognitive therapy. You've got others, things like family psychotherapy. So we may find as we start searching, when we look at the subject terms, there are terms that we're not so familiar with. So although I've got this nicely laid out, invariably, when you start the search in this fashion, you may not know what the subject terms are. So again, you'll find that out as you begin to look at records, as you find some and explore them further. So that's just the framework we're looking at. And so I will go back now and we'll just look at that now. So what I'm going to do here is run the live demonstration. So bear with me while I do that. So I'm going to go now to my desktop. Okay. So as I mentioned, for those who work in NHS in England, it is available nationally. It's a national subscription that's available, along with Cine or Medline. And you may have, if you're in other sectors in the academic sector, you may have your own subscription, or you may be considering this. So it's a standard interface. So this is the new interface, the advanced search page, and there are some enhancements which were released recently, some which you would have heard about recently if you've attended some of the trainings previously or attended other meetings, etc., or been informed by other EBSCO colleagues of mine. But we are going to start the search. So we are looking at eating disorders, essentially, obviously adolescents. So what we might do first is we can start with the actual population group. So we'll do that now here. So we can look at adolescents here. And what I might do at this stage, I'm going to truncate from the beginning because obviously adolescents could be plural or singular, or it could be the state of being an adolescent, as it were, adolescence, CE, as it were. So I can truncate this word to include all variations of this. Okay, as you see there. The drop-down terms, by the way, are just popular searches. They're terms that you could use based on other user behavior, but they're global. So I'm going to add this to teen. I'm going to also add truncation for teen, teens, teenager, etc., teenage, and so on. Also for youth, okay? And then or young person or young people. So I can put young people, young person here as well. Okay, and I can add young people. So I can obviously render this in other ways as well, but we'll just keep it this way for now. And so I'm going to add it here, and I'm also going to search within the title abstract field here, as you see here, simultaneously searching both fields there. So we've got that group, and this is the first aspect. The first part of the population group specifically. We will look at the aspect of eating disorders as well separately and combine the two. So I'm going to run the search here for that population group. Okay, and as you expect, you get quite a lot of results there. And you can see now with this interface, we have launched the advanced search results list, which means the 3 rows are displayed on the screen when the results are displayed, plus you now have the search history indicated here. So up until about 3 weeks ago, that was not available, and that can be hidden, by the way, from view. So our search history is going to be recorded here. It's also recorded in recent activity as well. Okay, so we are looking at the equivalent subject term for adolescents. So I'm going to go to the subject's authority option. I'm going to clear my fields here, and I'm going to browse for adolescents here. So adolescents, okay, And if you spot any errors, of course, please let me know, but I will show you how you can edit search strings in the search history as well. So if you run the search here, and you see we've got adolescents use teenagers, so I can click on that link, or I can just select from here, and I can look at other options here as well. Okay, so I can go into teenagers, for example. I can select youth here. I can select other groups here also as well, and so on. So I can go through this listing and select others. So I've got runaway teenagers here as well, rural teenagers. Okay, I've got multiple terms that I can be using, business people, all sorts of elements here that we can using to, so there's so many here at the moment. Other related terms we can use are adolescents. This is the group we're really looking at, of course, which also includes teenagers. So again, there's some other things here, consumers, marriage. So there are multiple terms that we could be selecting here at this stage, young adults, of course. So just to include that age group and those elements, of course. I won't use all of these perhaps just for sake of time, but you can explore those terms and you can, apply those, again, all these can be included here. So I'm going to just select those for now. There's quite a lot there that are appropriate. So I'm just going to run, and you can see the plus sign indicate the explode terms can be explode. In fact, if I do this, you'll see now if I click the plus sign, it will select other terms, these as well. Okay, so again, that can be set as a default, by the way. So by default, it can automatically explode these other terms. They're going to be automatically included. So what you'll find now, if I click search or add to search, you'll get numerous terms included, right? So this includes everything related about adolescents, young people, teenagers, for content that's indexed in this database. And then we can click search here. So this is the subject search, and you'll see that appearing in the search history. So we've both got the age group here. So what we can do, we can combine the two together, S1, S2. Although it's displayed in reverse chronological order, you can resort these, by the way, as I'll show you later. So we're going to combine this with OR to bring it together in one set. When you do that, you'll see the combined set indicated in the top search box. Click search, and we'll group that together. Now, of course, we're looking at adolescents, but those particularly have eating disorders as well. So we are going to search now for eating disorders. So I'm going to begin searching for this. So what we can do here is we can also use the precision operators. So I can put, for example, eating, N2 disorders. Now I will change disorder with an asterisk. So it could be disordered eating or eating disorders, etc. So N2 means near 2 words or less. Okay. I can also add or truncate anorexia to find anorexia or anorexic. Likewise with bulimia, which you saw in the example, I can do this. So that's bulimia or bulimic. And then I can also, again, I'll make this the title abstract search here. We can also include, and I'll do this on the second row here and choose the same field there. I'll put binge eating. So it could be binge eating or drinking. So what I can do here is put binge or eating or drinking, okay, in parentheses. Just correct that. Again, you can correct the lines of search if you need to. So I'll combine these two together. Okay, this is the title abstract search here for eating disorders. And then I'll do the equivalent for the subject search. So I go to subject's authority again on the left-hand column. I'll clear these fields, and I'm just going to search for eating disorders here. Okay, now you'll see here we've got these terms. I've got eating disorders here. So I've got all these. I can also click through to the term if I wish, or I can just simply click this one. And when I click this one, the explode is selected and includes eating disorders in women, disorders of eating, binge eating, compulsive eating, anorexia nervosa, etc. So again, all those can be included here. Okay. So I've got those included. So what I can do here, let's see. Again, you can check that out by going to eating disorder specifically and see what's included. So again, you see eating disorder, main term. The plus sign indicates it's exploded to include those narrow terms as well, such as anorexia nervosa, binge eating disorder, bulimia, etc. And there are related terms. We could include appetite disorders, for example, which is broader. We could also include, let's see, maybe nothing else here. Compulsive behavior, that could be more generic. So we'll stay with those terms and we'll click add to search, and you'll see the subject headings are included here. Now you'll notice also that each of these terms, as we saw in the previous set, is prefixed with DE, that's descriptor, indicating it's an exact subject term within this index. Okay, so we look at the subject headings that have been assigned to articles about this condition, and then click search here. So once you've done that, that's all added to the search history. So you can see how we're constructing our search strategy, beginning with the first element of PICO, the patient problem population group, so adolescents with eating disorders. So we combine S4, S5 together. So this is the eating disorders element, and search. And then we're going to combine eating disorders, that set, with adolescents. So I'm going to select S6 and then S3. Okay. And then, so this is the two sets, the population group with the underlying condition, and combine that with and again, that appears in the top row. Now, what I'll do at this stage, just make this a bit clearer perhaps, I will then resort this. So if we click the ID option above the set number, you can now see the sequence. So we start off with the title abstract search for adolescents, the subject search, the equivalent subject search, combine the two in S3. We've then done it for eating disorders for title abstract, subject, combine the two, and now we've combined both together. So basically we have now S7, the first element of PICO. So now we'll look at the intervention. Also to add, for the search history, you'll see we have all the set numbers displayed. We have the search strings, we have the search options, what's been applied so far, and then we've got the number of results per line, plus the database that we're searching is indicated, and also you have the option to edit search details or delete as well. So if you end up making a mistake, if you duplicate a search result, a search string, you can delete it. It will resort, renumber as appropriate. So I'm just going to check here if there's any, let's see, any questions or comments. So again, feel free to post any comments or questions or feedback in the Teams chat as needed if I need to repeat anything here. So we're now going to look at cognitive therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. So again, we use the top search box. We can stay on the result list page with the search history open, and I'll put cognitive. And I'm going to this time add the asterisk. As you would have noted in the PowerPoint, we can add the asterisk both between terms at the end of terms. So that will be cognitive therapy, cognitive therapies, or cognitive behavioral therapy, or cognitive behavior therapy, or therapy. So again, it saves us retyping the terms by using this truncation symbol. And I can also add CBT as well. Okay, so I can add those terms to this. Okay, and I can run the title object search here for these terms. Again, that would appear in the search history. So we should see it now below, and you can see the set here now S8. Now we are going to look, of course, for the equivalent subject term. So go back to Research Tools and Subjects Authority on the left, and then we'll clear the screen here, and we'll search. We'll just try it for cognitive therapy for now, because obviously different databases use different terms. It might be cognitive behavioral therapy in some instances. Others, it may just be cognitive therapy initially. So click search here, and you'll see we have cognitive therapy. And notice the plus sign is there as well. So if we select this one, you see we're now exploding and including trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness behavioral cognitive therapy, etc., and so on. Okay, so if since we're looking at this for teenagers, we can include that too, not children perhaps. We've got mindfulness, we could include that, perhaps somewhat broader, and you see the other terms that are also included as well because we've exploded the initial term. Okay, so again, now if we add to the search, you'll see all the subheadings are included, and then we can run the search for that set. So again, as you would expect, we'll combine the two together. Now it's resorted back to the original default reverse chronological order, but we can resort again as needed. But this time we combine S8, S9 with OR. So again, the two sets are combined on the top search box. Click search. and we group them together. So this is the intervention element of PICO. We're now looking at the comparison. As you can recall, it is family-based therapy or family therapy. So we're going to look at that now. So let me do that now. So let's go for, let's see. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put, so let's use truncation in two places. The between terms at the end of the word, so that would find family-based therapy, family therapy, family therapies, family-based therapies, could be family therapist or family-based therapist as well, because we're truncating, or FBT. And I can also add family truncation counseling. So it could be family-based counseling too. It could be the other expression for this. And of course, it could be spelled differently as well. It could be family-based counselor, for example, as well. So again, it's going to be a title abstract search. And I'll run this. So this is the comparison. And then I'm also going to do the same with the subject's authority this time. Go back to research tools, clear this, and then look for family therapy. Okay. So I'm browsing the thesaurus, and you can see here within this database, it advises using family psychotherapy. So I can use that term. I can perhaps explore it further. I can go either select from here, and you can see it's selected here. And then when I explode it, you'll see the other terms are also selected. So ecological family therapy, Bowenian family therapy, structural family therapy, contextual therapy, and so on. So all these terms have now been selected in addition to the original term, okay, through the explode option. So you can clearly see those terms. And also, if you want to check out the term itself, you can either click on the link, or if you go to the drop-down menu, it will present the actual scope note detailing what this is about. So you can see family psychotherapy is a type of treatment that addresses problematic issues within the family, specifically related to the mental health and functioning, etc. Okay, so again, to assist you with determining is that the appropriate term you should be using. Then add to search, and then click search. Okay, and then finally we'll combine the two together, S11, S12. So the title abstract search combined with the subject search. So I'm just going to check if there's any questions or comments. No, not yet. So we'll combine with or, and then search. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is resort these. Okay. I'm just checking for everything here. Okay. So if I resort them, ID, as I said, you can go in and edit any of these search strings. So for example, if you go into this one, S4, you can go into the edit search mode and edit search. And then you can make changes, add other terms here, perhaps you've missed previously. Okay, so again, I can, for example, I can put purging in there, or purging, or purging, or purge. Okay, and I'll truncate that purging as well, or purging, or vomiting. Okay, so I'll put that truncate. So I can add those additional terms, update the search, remove that or close that down, and then when you see the search history now, those terms would have been added. So where did we get to? Yeah, so S4 now. So I believe we've now increased the number of hits here. So again, you can, edit line by line, etc. You can, delete if it's repeated or an error, etc. as well. So with that in view now, I'll resort them. Okay. And obviously we've grouped the PICO elements, the P element in S3, sorry, with this one, S6, I think that's the combined adolescent eating disorders. That's the P element, the PICO, the problem, and the patient or population. We've then got, let's see, what's that? Sorry, that's S7. So that's this one here. So I'll select this one. We've then got cognitive therapy, the title abstract search, and the subject search combined in S10. So it's S7, S10, and now we're looking at S13, which is the family-based therapy. So we may find this, again, this could be the first iteration. Obviously, I've run this before. I know some terms I can be using, but we may be exploring others. So we'll look at those terms initially, and then we can combine with and. Okay, now we are being quite, and I'm also going to change databases here to make sure we go to the right databases here. This one. Okay, so I just switch back there to Psychology and Behavioral Science collection because I'm using a demonstration site. So we've got those three sets there, and I'm going to combine with and here. When I do that, again, the search strings are combined with the Boolean and on the top, and then click search. Okay, so now the moment of truth there in terms of what we found. So we've got 18 results, not too many, of course, but we can tweak this search later on. And the key thing here really is to obviously examine what have we found here. Now, one thing I'll point out here at this stage, obviously, if you were running this search in CINAHL Medline, you do have the advantage of age and gender groups as a filter as well. I had to run a search for adolescents, young people separately. So again, those databases do have a filter specifically, which is based on the indexing of adolescents, but I have used some of the indexing terms from this database. But we've got 18 here initially, and obviously we can look through this list. So what we typically will do is obviously we will either look through each of these references, and you'll notice the default format, for example, is to display the brief record. So you get the link to the title, you get the author fields. It can be expanded to show more. Likewise, with the abstract, you get the initial couple of lines of the abstract, and you click show more to view the entire abstract. And you'll see the words in the title are highlighted in yellow. The words in the abstract and other fields are in bold, okay, to indicate those that are relevant to our search query, our search strategy. So you can click show more, and then if you want to view more of the subheadings, subject headings, click the corresponding element there. And this is really designed to avoid overloading users. It reduces the cognitive load, displaying less information on screen, but you can still access it by expanding those fields as needed. It is possible to expand the abstract by default. That is in the admin tool to do that, but at the moment you see it in this standard format, this brief record format, as you see there. Now, one thing we can do, of course, is identify a key article, and you can see this one is particularly relevant because it does compare family therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy in children and adolescents. And it's also systematic review, and what's more, it's also a recent article in the European Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Journal. So we'll just take a look at this one. Again, you can expand the abstract. So again, you can look at that. You can see the subject fields are listed below, and we can click through to the actual article to view more details. Again, you can view more of the authors there. You can link through to them, explore the other subjects as well. And we also have in this record the references listed here as well. This is a new feature, and some of these are also indexed in the database. They can be accessed here. They can also be saved as needed with the bookmark tool. You can see the citation count as well, by the way. So it will tell you how many times this article has been cited, so indicate its relevance, its usefulness to this area, and also you can see the publication contents as well for this journal. Okay, now you can also view the content. So for example, this one is available in PDF and online full text. That's also accessible through the result list as well. And you can see suitable for printing as well as downloading. So you've got the option to save this item. What's a key article? The site tool is available, so you can see by default it's Harvard. So for those in NHS England, Harvard referencing is the default format. You can change it, obviously, if you're using databases like APA Psych Articles. APA 7th edition may be the best option. Chicago, Vancouver are also there. So there are others, so you can copy that to the clipboard, or you can export the citation in that format or in RS format here, RefWorks, etc. You can use those tools. You can add to a project. So when you add to a project, what it's doing is saving the article to a project. So it could be an evidence search that you're doing in relation to this topic. So you want to create a personal custom folder, a project with your search and your saved articles. So for this, we can go in and click sign in here. This does require my EBSCO personal folder account. For those in England, typically your folder account is synchronized with Open Athens authentication through the EBSCO single sign-on. So when you sign in to the platform, to the database with Open Athens, you should be synchronizing with your folder automatically. So you've got the option to add your details here. If you're outside the NHS in England, you don't have an account, you can create one from this page immediately. We do support Google sign-in, by the way. You can add your first name, last name is optional, email address, create the password, note the criteria, and then you agree to the consent form. And we do have our privacy policy indicated there for more information. You then create the account, and then you can sign in from there. Okay, so I just sign in here, and hopefully my VPN is not timed out, and that means I could just go straight through now. Okay, so now I can add to a project, so I can create a new project here. So I'm going to call it, of course, eating disorders. Let's see. What you call it? Disorders, not discovers. Disorders and CBT for now. Okay, or FBT. If it's if I'm doing a search for a particular, psychologist, mental health professional, etc., then I might want to give it a due date because there may be a deadline. They've requested this search, this information, so I can, I may have a deadline before the Christmas holidays. So I create this here, and then I'm not sure why this was not added, but we'll come back to that. So I've created the project already. I'll come back to that in a moment. Again, you can share from here as well, this page. So you can use Google Drive, OneDrive, if you want to save this article, or create a link to it if you want to share that with, a colleague or a user that you're supporting. And you can copy that to the clipboard, and you can also email that. Now, when you email, if there is PDF and online full text available, those will be included as an attached file as well. So the recipient will receive the full text document along with the metadata. So there's obviously the download option. You can also download this. So the full text in the preferred format, PDF or online. And if it's just the metadata, you can also download this in Word format as well, or BibTeX as well. So different options. The print option is there as well. I won't go through that. Publication contents just allows you to browse other articles in the same publication. And we do support text-to-speech for PDF now with the new interface. So again, you can download the MP3 and listen to this article being read offline, or you can listen to it online. Okay, so just going back here. Oh, great. That's good to know, Eleanor. I have found the citation count useful already. That's good. We can feed that back. So we've gone to this page, and I'm trying to get back to where I was before, actually. So let me come back out of here. So let me just go back to my search, I think, at this stage, the result list. Okay, we're going to go to the results list page. So again, the search is still there. I'll resort again. So that's looking at one particular article. Obviously, as you see, you've got different options there. Again, the cited by count, which Anna just mentioned, cited by 7. So you can click through to that for this article, and you get this nice panel detailing those articles. And again, you can save any of these if you wish. Okay, and also you can resort them. So if you look at the most recent publication that cited this article, then you can see that here. Okay. So again, this is in September. So that article was published in March 2024, but it was cited in September 2025. Okay. So just looking again at these options, online full text, just briefly here. So the additional options with online full text is that it does give you obviously the table of contents there. You can jump to the sections, of course. You can also generate the site tool. You can save this again as well, and you can download, but you can also translate. So if it's in another language, if you've not filtered by English language and you come across an article in German, for example, then you can translate it from German to English. And of course you can do the reverse. So for example, this article can be translated back to German. It's in English, but if I was a native German speaker and I wanted to check that out, I could now translate that article into German. Okay. It is a machine translation, so if you're fluent or native speaker of German, you'll know the accuracy of that. Obviously, it's going to improve, especially with AI tools now, but it is provided by Microsoft. Okay, so again, it means that if you come across a full text article in another language, you can translate it. And I wish I'd had that 30, 40 years ago when I was at university. So we didn't have those tools then yet to send off for a translation. Okay. Again, text-to-speech software is there. The additional features for online full text is it does allow you to change the text highlighting as well. Okay, unlike the PDF, but you can still download the MP3. Okay, so coming back now. So in terms of saving the results, we had a brief look at the full text there, of course. Then you can select the bookmark icon to save these items. Anything you save in this fashion is immediately saved to the save folder on the left. Okay, so that will be saved there. If you are looking to save a bunch of records, for example, you can do that here, and you can save up to 50 records at this time per page. Okay. And again, so you can save those items and they'll go straight to the folder. Now, as I mentioned, you can create a project and you can save items to a project directly. You don't need to save them to the save folder. So what I could do here, for example, with these ones, I can go to add to project, choose my originally created project here and save them directly to that project. So if I now go to the project, you'll see I've got my project here. The due date is given. If I click on that link there, then you'll see I've got those save records here. Now, also, as I go through this list at a later time, perhaps after the initial session, I log back in, and you do need to be signed into the EBSCO account to use projects. But when I come back in at a later time, I can then go through this list and decide, well, this one is not needed. This is not really useful. See, I mean, most of these probably are going to be quite relevant, to be honest. But if I take some randomly here, this one here, for example, I can just delete that from the list. Okay, so I can screen them out here. If I've completed the project or I am redoing the search and I've been through these articles, I don't need any of them, I can just delete them altogether here. Okay, I can also download them from here as well. So if I want them in Word format, I can download here and then save the file, and I'll just bring that up so you can see what that looks like. So if I drag this across from my other monitor, you'll see this is the contents listing for those articles, and you'll see the articles displayed. Okay, and where appropriate, you'll find links to the full text as well. Okay, so that's the Word format for this download. So we also provide PDF, CSV, BibText, XML as well, even MARC records also, MARC 2021. The search at the moment, I don't have the search here saved, so I can go back to that in a moment. So what I might do here is just go back to my search results here. So I'm going to look for that, and I'm going to save the search, and also I'll download it. So at this stage, having saved those references, I can also save or download the search. So you can see I've got 15 sets here, but you can download up to 500. So if you go to select this and choose download, you'll see I can download the search. Okay, so I can choose CSV if I want a table of the search spreadsheet, or I go for RTF since it kind of condenses it more than Word, and click download here. I think there may be another question I didn't get to, so let me just do that now. Right, good question. Is a back to search button available? It isn't. There are ways to get to the search through recent activity, but at the moment, it's not really as intuitive as it could be. Again, some of you may not migrate to this at the moment, so things are under development, but we are meeting with our product team, etc. We are forwarding comments back to them about various functionalities. Some it may appear soon. There will, for example, I'm just going to save this, by the way, and then show what that looks like. There will be a bulk delete option from within the search history page. So let me just collapse this. Okay, so I'm just going to share this screen with you. So this is the downloaded search history. So this is in rich text format. You can see the set number, the query, the search run date and time, the results, the search mode, etc., database, and so on. So all of these are the sets with the terms indicated. So again, potentially useful for reporting purposes or to reproduce the search at some point. Okay, so you can report on it there through that manner. So yeah, so at the moment, there will be a bulk search delete coming for this page in due course. In terms of back to search, you probably noticed I was using the back browser option, which is not ideal, but I'm just wary of losing what I've got here at the moment. So I wanted to stay on this page, as it were, to reference it, as it were. So good point there. So we'll again feed that back. So you can hide the searches, as I mentioned earlier. So that's just collapsed in the background, so you can focus on those search results. And again, you can download them from here, and you can also, add individual records to a project as well. So you do have options for the site, the adding to a project, sharing and downloading from each record, as well as from within using the actual result list, as it were. So the tools here. Okay. So another thing apart from just downloading the search and saving it. So I will save it now. So I'm going to go to the tools menu, save search. So I'll just make sure that's open there, and then go back to that. So save search. So I've downloaded it already, but now I'm going to save the search so I can, and it defaults to the final query string, so which is not ideal. So I'm going to just put in eating. So I just hit the keyboard there. Eating disorders. Okay, so, and I just label it this way. Okay. Again, you can add a description. You've got the combined query. So in theory, you can copy this to the clipboard and rerun that if you need to. Okay. Although I think let me just go back here a minute. I'm just going to check something here. Make sure I'm viewing the right thing. So let's see. Resort here. So this is what we're looking at, actually, this set here. Okay, so this is the final set. And then I will save the search. So I just go here. No, good question from Olive. Can you share a project? Currently, you cannot do that. So it is your own personal folder. You cannot share the project. You can obviously share the search, or let me check on that in a minute. I know you cannot share the project as you could with there was a shared folder option in Classic. So at the moment, I don't know if that's coming back. Some things are coming back in due course, but that's a good point. So again, I'm just going to add this, the search name here. Okay, so now we're on the final set of results, and I'm going to just scroll down. So you have to scroll the way down here, unfortunately, because it includes the subqueries. Save, click close. Okay. And if I go to projects, to just save that, I'll do that. Actually, that was a save search, I think. So I go to projects and see if I've got this here as well. So that's the project search. No, I think so what I've done, I've saved it. So under saved, so go to searches, and then you can select this or add it to the project from here. So you can save articles directly to the projects folder. For the search, from what I could see there, you have to save it first, and then you can move it to the project or save it to the project. So if I go to projects now, you'll see this does feature the records I saved and the search itself here. Okay, see how that displayed. So again, the project itself can be edited or deleted if it's no longer required, or if you've rerun the search at some point and you don't need it, then you can also delete it from here as well. Or if you have multiple searches, multiple iterations, and eventually you have a final, iteration, then you can delete those that are not necessary there. Now, the other thing is, okay, we're near approaching 11:30, so I appreciate, I know you need to go. The last thing I'll show you is the alerts feature. So again, if you're looking to create an alert to a search, and I'm just going to go and rerun this one for sake of time, then we'll go in here. In fact, this is the app. So this is the search. You can create the alert here. Okay. This opens up this form. So it's based on the previous query. Again, you can add it. You can call it the same thing, or just eating disorders for now. The frequency by default is daily. You can change it to weekly if preferred, or monthly. And you'll see the query there, the complete query. And then you can obviously add the email address and create the alert. Once you've done that, click close. That's saved in the dashboard under the alerts tool menu, as you'd expect, on the left-hand column. And then you'll see we've got journal alerts here. Okay, so this is now available, and you can see when it was created, and the frequency is weekly. So it will run the search on a weekly basis and return results from the search strategy that you created previously. Under tools, you can edit the alert. So if you want to change the alert name, or if you want to change the frequency, say to monthly, and notice it will expire within a year. If you want to extend or renew the alert, there's an option to do that. So if it's coming towards the end, then you can extend it further for another year and then save the changes. Now, you have caught a glimpse there of journal alerts as well. So if you go to the Publications Authority under Research Tools and look for a publication, so put in, for example, Journal of Mental Health, then you'll see this full text journal is available. So I can click onto that and I can search within the publication. I can browse the issues. I can visit the Taylor & Francis website if I need to, but I can also go to the tools menu and create an alert here to this publication. So Journal of Mental Health, again, it will run for up to 1 year. I can be alerted to full text, to alert on full text only. So it's a full text journal in any case, and then create the alert. So essentially what that means is, either for yourself or colleagues or users, it means you'll be notified of the latest content for that journal without having to come back to this database, essentially. So under alerts, you'll find now we've got Journal of Mental Health. So if you create this on behalf of a user, you can then, you're responsible for editing it, or viewing results, or deleting. So if you no longer require that, you can just delete this. Likewise with the search alert, if it's no longer required by yourself or a user, then you can just go in and delete. And of course, you always get confirmation on screen about that. Okay, so I just want to wrap up here, as I know we're near the hour mark. We did start a little late, but so to click new search here, I haven't gone through all the features that are available here. Again, publications can be accessed through this menu. You can browse the listing, or you can search for journals, etc. And also the PICO app I mentioned in the PowerPoint is there, and you can populate information here, and that will create a Boolean search string with the AND operator, or if appropriate, and primarily because you're going to combine these fields together, and then you can run the search from this using this app. But there's more information on this in EBSCO Connect. If you want more information about the platform, about the database, etc., about searching, then you can use the online help under Research Tools. And this takes you to the quick start guide for the new interface. Okay, so you're looking at advanced searching there, or browsing subjects, etc. Searching with Boolean operators, searching with wildcards. Again, this can be quite useful, especially with the question regarding does it search across all fields, etc. So you can see examples of the wildcard, etc., or the question mark wildcard there as well, which we didn't use in the live demonstration. So again, it's worth checking that page. In fact, what I might do, I will also put that in the Teams chat for you to review, since I did refer to it. Okay, so that is the quick start guide. So again, that takes you to EBSCO Connect. So what I'm going to do now is just going to wrap up, just go back to the PowerPoint. So we've gone through the live demonstration, and a reminder, of course, we found results, and we constructed our query, a combination of title abstract plus subject searching. So we had the first element of PICO related to, and this was the example I gave. This is one I ran earlier, actually. This is really specific on eating disorders, but we did add adolescents for that search. The cognitive behavioral therapy, or cognitive therapy, contrasted or compared with the family-based therapy, and then we end up with results. Now, in this example, I didn't include the population group initially, but I did subsequently in the live demonstration. But we did end up with a result which is very pertinent to our search, this set of review, and this is where you can actually explore the terms that are used by the authors, researchers, also the index terms, to see if there's other search terms we can include in our search strategy. And just to wrap up then, we do have various links there included to support your use of the interface, and you can view those in your own time. We do have the Healthcare Training Resources portal page, so you can link to future training sessions, as well as there are training videos, recordings that I include there, and this one will also be uploaded to the EBSCO UK YouTube channel as well. And of course, EBSCO Connect, we just saw a glimpse of that with the quick start guide. So again, that's where most of the information on the database functionality, features, etc. is included, and that's updated regularly. So that's connect.ebsco.com. Okay, and for those who work in the NHS in England, you'll need to log any queries, cases with the NHS service desk initially, and they will escalate to EBSCO as needed. So if you have any technical issues, please go to the NHS service desk initially. Okay, so yeah, in answer to the question, is PBSC is it all full text? I think the majority is. I'm not sure that everything is full text. I'd have to double check that, but there's a lot of full text content in this database. Again, I can refer you to the actual database help menu. So what I might do is I will put a link in the Teams chat for you to explore that. So just to clarify, there's 315 active full text journals and magazines within this database, 308 that are peer reviewed. This site is the standard company page for this database. Again, it talks about linking to full text from APA PsycInfo as well, and the coverage of the subject. So there's an Excel spreadsheet and also HTML document, which will detail the content coverage for journals and the subject matter as well for that database. Thank you for attendance today. Of course, you can still contact me directly at rcooks@ebsco.com if you need to. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you online in the near future at other sessions. And we'll keep these updated as new changes take place to the interface. So I hope that's been useful.